This is our Sheffield United versus Manchester United preview and a combination of some big transfer news, especially around Jude Bellingham. But I just want to give a shout out to Dwayne West, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I've seen he's just flashed up on the screen there, so welcome to him. I hope you're doing very well this evening, and as you can see on the left-hand side, we are going to be talking about our preview tonight, and there are some big changes on that team that I think are going to cause a few issues, but I will explain them as we move into what is a massive game for Manchester United. Really enjoyed the preview for the Spurs game. What I enjoyed is that we tactically got it right. We said that Matic shouldn't have started that game because Spurs are going to play deep, so what's the point in having a protector of the defence who doesn't move the ball quickly from back to front when you're playing against the team that's going to play deep and park the bus? And what did we see? We saw a team that played deep and parked the bus that we struggled to really break down, especially when they were 1-0 up. And then Pogba came on, and I said Pogba should have started that game because when Spurs did attack, Pogba had the ability to knock the ball over the top very quickly, which Rashford nearly scored from in the last 10 minutes. So we got it right tactically last week, and it shows that as fans and this community, we do know what we're talking about. And I think there's a similarity with the Sheffield United game that Pogba's essential. Like, Pogba and Bruno are now the players that get Solskjaer Champions League football. That's what happens. They're the two players that can get us Champions League football. But Pogba's very important in this game for the same reasons. When Sheffield United have got the ball, and I am playing a 4-3-3, but when Sheffield United have got the ball, Pogba drops deep and so does Bruno. But when we win the ball back, Pogba has that ability to knock the ball over the top very quickly and get Rashford and Martial in. Very important. Welcome to Game Room 36, latest member of the United Stand Members Club, and Josh J. So look, like to see Mata, says Reese. Look, there's a theory behind the madness, and people will say Goldbridge doesn't know what he's on about. I've had that for 5 years. I don't really care. I've been proven right on a lot of things. I've been proven wrong on some things. That's the whole point of being a fan opinion. Name me a manager who gets it right all the time. So how can fans do it? But there's two changes I think Solskjaer needs to make. In relation to the team, there's four. But there's two big changes that I think Solskjaer needs to make. So De Gea in goal. We'll talk about him in a minute. Wan-Bissaka and Shaw as the fullbacks. Harry Maguire starts as the captain. Eric Bailly comes in. I think now is the time to do it. I love Victor Lindelof. It's nothing against Lindelof. Drop Maguire, drop Lindelof, but play Eric Bailly. Because we've got to move past this whole not having speed at the back now. We've got to have a quick player at the back. And this is the perfect time to do it. We've got a run of games that we've got to win. I said it this morning. You've got Sheffield United, Brighton, Bournemouth, Southampton and Aston Villa, our next 5 games. We've got to win all 5. And we've got to start building. And we need some pace at the back. Because what if we are attacking Bournemouth or something like that, a ball goes over the top for Wilson, he outpaces our 2 centre-backs and he scores, and we have a bad day in front of goal, and we draw or we lose. Eric Bailly there to cover the pace, it's so obvious to me now. And I don't think we can get away with it anymore. I think after the Spurs game, I was like, before the Spurs game, I was like, play Lindelof and Maguire. They've been very good this season. But when you concede a goal like that because of a lack of pace between the centre-backs, why keep taking that risk? It's always a risk. We've got a lack of pace in the centre-back pairing. Just put somebody there who's quick. And if Eric Bailly gets injured, you got to go with Lindelof. But I just think get somebody quick in. Into the midfield, I want to see a 4-3-3. When we've got the ball, I want to see Matic patrolling on his own. I don't want to see a 2. I want Matic on his own with Pogba and Bruno pushing forward. When they've got the ball, Pogba drops into a 2. Bruno helps out. You play a 4-2-3-1. But without the ball, that's why I've shifted it a little bit. Matic deeper, Pogba next, Bruno next. Front 3, Rashford on the left, Martial up front. And I put Wan-Mata in. Now, the reason I put Wan-Mata in is because Sheffield United will set up very similar to Spurs. They basically play with I think it's a back 5 that Sheffield United play with because they use their width quite well. But however they line up, and they might play a back 4 because they've got a defender missing in Egan, they will play deep and they will look to hit us on the break and they will look to win free kicks and corners to use their height. That's Sheffield United. It's been very successful for them. I think there's cracks after lockdown, but that's what Sheffield United will do. They are not going to play a high line. They are going to play deep. Dan James, no point playing him in this game, especially not from the start. There's not going to be speed to get him behind the back, so there's no point. You could play Greenwood. I've got no problem with playing Greenwood, but I almost think, why are we turning Greenwood into a right winger? Maybe Greenwood would be a useful player to chuck up front later on in the game. And if pace isn't going to be important, why not just use Wan-Mata and be a little bit careful? Why be so easy to read? Why go 4-3-3 with 2 wide players? Why not put Mata on the right, get him wandering in, interchanging with Bruno, who's used to playing on the right, moving about, and also Mata in a game where Sheffield United are not going to allow us to use pace. Juan Mata's quite an intricate player. I don't normally say pick Mata, and I've got no problem with picking Greenwood. I just think this is one of a few games where you could get Mata involved, and Mata's going to work really well with Pogba and Bruno, and we're going to need a little bit of... We're going to need triangles, we're going to need one-touch passing, we're going to need a little bit of creativity. And I just personally think it's a game that's made for Mata. No problem at all. No problem at all with playing Greenwood, if that's the way you want to go. I just thought, you know what? Pace isn't going to be important. We're going to have loads of the ball around the edge of their box. Why not have somebody who's a creator? Kindly enlighten me on player contract termination. Is there a possibility to terminate Sanchez's contract, says Vijay. A bit of a funny question to ask. Welcome Vin Carney, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Mata and Matic, has Ricky had it right all along, says Ash G. I don't think he will start Mata. That's just what I would do, because we're not going to need pace. We're not going to need pace. But what's absolutely essential, and obviously Sanchez's contract won't be terminated. It's worth about 20 million quid. But what I would say is that this game we've got to win. We've got to beat Sheffield United. I know the world is full of cliches of must-win game, biggest game of the season. But the next 5 games, I'm going to say the same thing. If we beat Sheffield United, we've got to beat Brighton. If we beat Brighton, we've got to beat Bournemouth. If we beat Bournemouth, we've got to beat Southampton. And if we beat Southampton, we've got to beat Villa. And then we look at where we are. You know, getting worried because Chelsea beat bloody Villa, and getting worried because Leicester probably beat Brighton tomorrow. There's a number of games left. It's about not losing or dropping or drawing again. We must beat Sheffield United. And to do that, that's the team to do it. None of this 2 holding midfielders. You play Matic, you play Fred, or you play McTominay. You don't play 2. Bruno and Pogba are now absolutely essential, especially in these next 5 games. We are basically playing mid-table to relegation teams. You do not need 2 holding midfielders in McTominay and Fred, or Fred and Matic, or Matic and McTominay. It's Bruno, it's Pogba, it's get forward, it's Matic cover. But actually, does Matic even need to cover? If our back 4 can't deal with Sheffield United's front line, or Bournemouth's front line, or Southampton's front line, or Villa's or Brighton's, then we've got big problems. We are going to have to take risks in these games because we have got to win. We can't get a 1-1. You know, before the lockdown, 1-1 against Sheffield United might not be bad. And it's at Old Trafford. We know this pitch. We haven't got the fans, but we know this pitch. But no time for draws, no time for drosses, or whatever you want to call it. It's time to win. Win. And I tell you what, goal difference could be quite important as well. I'm not 100% how we sit on goal difference, but I can tell you this. Leicester's goal difference is 30, Chelsea's is 13, and ours is 14. So it's close. We've got 1 goal better than Chelsea. We need to start banging in the goals. I want to see us winning a few games 3-0. Start banging in those goals. Start putting the pressure in. It's going to be a tall order. It will be a tall order. But I think that I can't remember the last time United won 5 Premier League games in a row. But we've got to do it. Will we do it? Look, the head says no. Of course it does, because we haven't done it for so long. But I don't see any reason why we can't win 8 in a row. And imagine if we won 7 or 8 games out of our last 8 games. We'll get top 4, but we also take that winning mentality into next season. It's a big time for United. I'm very, very excited about it. Lee Taylor says, Mark, Arsenal's next 6 fixtures are Southampton, Wolves, Leicester, Spurs and Liverpool. They could end up in a relationship the way they are going. A relationship? I think you meant a relegation fight. They won't, Lee. And start Greenwood and Bailly, drop Lindelof and James. That equals a win, says Crunch Time. I mean, that's the obvious way to go. And Mark, I support Mata 100%, mate. LFC can break these teams down because Firmino is very technical, which is all Mata has now, so it's a brilliant call, says Finn Carney. Thank you very much for that. Am I worried about Sheffield United? Just very quickly. No Dean Henderson. Good goalkeeper. Very good goalkeeper. So they're going to have a... And I don't think that... I'm not, you know, Arsenal fans are crying because Leno's not available. I don't think it makes a massive difference. But the difference it makes is, obviously the goalkeeper's not as good as Leno or Henderson, but it's also they don't have the relationship with their back 4 or their back 5. So he's very exploitable, not having Henderson. Egan's an important player for them as well. But I think Sheffield United look like Arsenal in a way, but they're in a better position. But it's like before lockdown, they were living the dream. They were in a top 4 race. 2 games in, they're not in a top 4 race. They've had 2 opportunities to go past us. If they'd beat Sheffield United, they would have knocked us down to 6th. If they'd beaten Newcastle, they would have knocked us down to 6th. They failed on both occasions, and now the big game against us, I think they'll be up for it. I think they'll feel that they've got a point to prove. We just can't give them that point. We've got to get at them, and we've got to make sure that we win. Yeah, relegation, bloody autocorrect, says Lee Taylor. Am I missing something? Why do people rate Eric Bailly, says Sean Turner. He's like a headless chicken, got so many mistakes in him. Also, we struggle against the low teams. Pace, Sean. Pace. We are vulnerable to pace. And I just think we need to put a pacey centre-back in there. We are vulnerable to pace, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough for a football club to be vulnerable to pace in its centre-back positions. We saw it at the weekend. Yes, Maguire made a mistake. Yes, De Gea should have saved it. But if Lindelof had a bit more pace, he would have covered that tackle. And he didn't. We need to have some pace. We are vulnerable to a very simple ball over the top, and we've got to stop that. I hope he picks Bay, but I think he'll stick with Victor. I wonder if he knows how problematic the lack of speed at the back is, says Charles Crane. I think 100% he's going to stick with Lindelof. Yeah, I do. But I think now's the time to make the change. We need some pace at the back. It's common sense to me, but I don't think he will do it. But if we concede any goals in the next 5 games where it's down to pace, then people are going to say you had the warning against Spurs and you didn't take it. Ollie's the manager. I back what he does, but I think we all know that issue is there right now. In relation to De Gea, there is a story today, I must just say. There is a story about De Gea, and welcome to Hada Shafiq, a latest member of the club. Thanks for joining, pal. There's a story about De Gea that Manchester United are basically going to put him on trial for the next 8 games. And if he makes any more mistakes, then they may well look at bringing Henderson in as first team player. Look, I stick by De Gea. I think De Gea is our goalkeeper, and I think we can get him back to being one of the best in the world. But I agree with that statement. I mean, of course he's on trial for the next 8 games. He's on trial now for the next 8 games, 100%. He'll be on big trial on Sheffield United. He can't afford any more big mistakes. There's going to be a lot of eyes on him. I've got no problem with that statement. I think he'll come through it with flying colours, and I think he will be our goalkeeper next season, and that's what I want to happen. But I've got no problem with him being on trial for the next 8 games. Everybody is. Everybody is. Pogba is, Bruno is, Martial is, Rashford is, Harry Maguire is. Everybody's on trial because anybody makes any big mistakes now, and it's going to be absolutely massive. I think Champions League football depends on Manchester United winning their next 5 games. And if we drop any points, it's not good enough. If you lose to Sheffield United or draw, not good enough. It's even worse if you do it to Bournemouth or Brighton or Villa. Southampton are doing okay, but we should still be beating them. So everybody's on trial. If Marcus Rashford misses a 1-on-1 in the last minute against Sheffield United, people are going to get on his back. Pressure's there. They need to step up to the pressure. I think there's a lot of positivity around the club. I think the Spurs result annoyed people because we should have won, but at the end of the day, that's our hardest game on paper done. Now let's go and get the results. Headless Chicken, did you see him against Chelsea? Says Daniel Luciano. So that's about that. Let me just also say that look, in a sentence, I think United are going to win 3-0. I don't think Sheffield United will score against us. I fancy De Gea to get a clean sheet. But we've got to go and get the goals, and I think we've got to go and play on the front foot. And look, I've not even spoken about them, but Pogba and Bruno are massive in this game. I think Pogba gives you that creativity anywhere from just behind the centre circle to the penalty box, and I think Bruno around the penalty box gives you that creativity. Martial and Rashford are going to be sharper. They weren't very sharp against Spurs, but they will be now. And I think we're going to create chances. Score the goals, win the game, move on. That's what it's about on Wednesday. I want to see a good result. I don't want to see any mercy. I want to see a good result. I want to see Manchester United winning a game. No mercy. Get the 3 points. Get 3 goals. Get the clean sheet. Move on to the next one. And start building up some momentum. Because I tell you what, top 4, Jadon Sancho, next season, momentum. No top 4, no Jadon Sancho, no momentum. So look, and I'm not saying that those are the 2 choices, but I think we know if we get top 4, we're in a very, very good position. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching and subscribe if you're new. Twansebi's not fit, Luke, so therefore Twansebi was not a consideration. Rashford should earn his place just like Pogba did, says Bello. I mean, who are you going to play on the left wing though, mate? That's the thing. We haven't really got anyone we can play on the left wing. Every week Mark changes the team. I think you are more clueless than the manager. You lot like to slate all the time, says Marvin Adam. Marvin's an idiot and obviously doesn't watch the show. I've been ridiculously complimentary and positive about this team since Bruno came in. So, but, you know, you're welcome to your opinion, mate. You've just exposed yourself as somebody who's a troublemaker, but you won't get run out again. We want Greenwood, says Ian Official. I do think Greenwood will start on the right. I've just done something a little bit out of the box, that Mata and Bruno link up really, really well. I think Bruno, Mata and Pogba will link up really well. I think we're going to have so much more. I think it's going to be stationary. It's going to be a very slow game. So Matic will work. Mata will work. Ricky will love it, of course. Ricky, Fleck, I can't believe it. It's not even my birthday. And he's picked Mata and Matic and Martial. I love it. Marshall, Fleck. I love it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very static, slow game around the Sheffield United box. They're going to defend deep. We're going to get a lot of the ball. Pace, skinning people, not really going to happen. What's going to happen is little dinky balls over the top, little 1-2s. Lots of possession. So what do you want? You want people on the ball who are comfortable on the ball. Dan James ain't comfortable on the ball. Lingard's not comfortable on the ball. I don't think Fred's particularly comfortable on the ball. McTominay, yeah, he's all right on the ball. But if I say Pogba, Bruno, Mata, these are three players who, they're magnetic. They want the ball. They're confident on the ball. They'll wait for the openings. That's why I would play Mata. I think Greenwood can do it, and I think he might go with Greenwood. But I think Greenwood in a game like this, maybe start with Mata and then bring Greenwood on for the last half an hour. But I would give Mata... He might play Lingard. I mean, he's totally unsuitable for this game, Lingard, because, as I said, Lingard's a runner. Lingard does his work off the ball. Some would say literally off the pitch, but he does his work off the ball. Mata will... You want people on the ball. Against a team like this, they're going to sit back. You want people on the ball. Mata suits the game, says Ollie. And are you going to do a watch-along tomorrow, says Renato. On That's Football tomorrow, I'm doing a watch-along for the Leicester game because it's very important in relation to our season. Hopefully Morpay can win it at the end again. But we'll have to wait and see. Oh, Morpay's won it at the end! If Mata scores at the end... Oh, Mata scores at the end, says Sartak. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit topical. Jude Bellingham has... been trending today. ESPN are saying that Borussia Dortmund have won the race to sign Jude Bellingham. I feel like there's a little bit of an echo at the moment in the world of news, because this is 2 weeks ago we were told Dortmund had won the race, and 3 months ago we were told Sancho for 90 million. Yet there is this stories breaking like it's new news. But I mean, to be fair, ESPN are saying that Bellingham will go to Dortmund for 20 million, and that Dortmund have won the race, obviously. I mean, look, I've spoken about this before. I sort of expect Dortmund to win the race, but I'm hoping that Bellingham will still come to Manchester United. It's categorically factual, however United dress it up, that, you can put a bloke in a dress, but it's still a bloke. And, I suppose they're not really, are they? Depends what they want to be known as, actually. I suppose you can't really use that sort of analogy anymore. But, well, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. And I think with Bellingham, there is, that I forgot what my point was going to be now. What was my point going to be? I can't remember what my point was going to be. That doesn't normally happen. Anyway, let's go back on track. I know what I was going to say. United can try and make out that they didn't bid for Bellingham or anything like that, but we know we did. We know we wanted Bellingham. He came to Carrington. He was photographed driving out of Carrington in March. We wanted him. We've not got him if he goes to Dortmund. And again, it's another... You're going to not always... Look, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. You don't get the players that you want. But unfortunately for United, there is still great skepticism around United's transfer dealings from the wider fan base. We've had a bad 6 years on transfers. People don't trust our negotiating team, whoever you want to name as being on that. We didn't get Haaland. Ollie wanted him in January. He went to Dortmund. We didn't get Werner. Ollie apparently met him in February. He's going to Chelsea. We don't get Bellingham. He visited Carrington and spoke to Ollie. He goes to Dortmund. So, look, yeah, we got Bruno. No one else wanted him or could afford him. No one else wanted Wan-Bissaka. No one else wanted Dan James, apart from Leeds in the Championship. and nobody else wanted Harry Maguire at the price that we paid. So we can say they're great signings, and I think they all are. But was there any real competition for them? It just feels like when there's competition for a player, we're not interested or we lose. So it's disappointing to miss out on Bellingham. It's quite surprising to miss out on Bellingham when he's a 16-year-old English lad and he's going to go to Dortmund. I don't agree that Dortmund offer him a better future. I don't agree with that. Look at Marcus Rashford, look at Mason Greenwood. Teenagers playing in the Manchester United first team. If he's good, you get your place at Manchester United. I do not agree that Dortmund offer a better development plan than us. I think that's something I would defend United on. I think we're too critical at times. Look, we've had a bad 6 years. We know that. We've made some bad signings. We've performed badly on the pitch. But we're not a bad club at developing good talent. And if he's a good talent, he would get his chance. So I don't know why he's not coming to United. I would imagine it's bad negotiation again because Sir Alex Ferguson spoke to the lad. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke to the lad. We want him. Why have we not got him if he doesn't come? And also on top of that, I mean, what I would say as well is that yesterday on his Instagram, he posted a picture of his dad smiling coming out of Carrington. I mean, what are these footballers doing with fans' emotions? Why would you even do that? I mean, I know he's only 16, but come on. I'm sure you've got plenty of pictures of your dad. Why would you post a picture of your dad smiling driving out of Carrington? If, maybe it was a plea for United to come and get him and he's going to Dortmund because United won't put the offer on the table. It could be that. I mean, we don't know. Maybe Dortmund's financial package is better than that of United. He wants to come to United, but he's not going to be taken the piss out of. There could be lots of reasons, but it is disappointing. Hi, Mark. The last time we won 5 games in a row was under Ollie. The team on the right should be good enough for the win. What about Aguero over Martial? You see that Ollie don't rate Lingard anymore. I wouldn't drop Martial. I don't get why anybody would want to drop Anthony Martial. Welcome to Min, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Of course, the last time we won 5 Premier League games in a row was under Ollie at the start, wasn't it? I can't remember how many we did win in a row. It must have been, was it 7, 8, 9? But that's what we need to go and do again. So he has done it again, so it can be done again. Mark, can you wish my son a happy 11th birthday, please? Says United Till I Die. Happy 11th birthday to United Till I Die's son. Happy birthday. You should have given us his name so we could give him a shout out. But happy birthday. I'm sure a lot of people will say it in the live comments as well. And Gethin Hall says, honestly, I think Greenwood needs to start. If Pogba and Bruno are creating chances, Greenwood will thrive. I've got no problem with Greenwood starting on the right. I just went with Mata because I thought, you know what, it's a squad game over the next few weeks. Are you going to pick that same 11 every week or are they going to get tired? This is a perfect game to give Mata a bit of time and, rotate your squad a little bit. And I think he'd do a good job. Sean Turner, do you think we have a gentleman's agreement with Dortmund? We step aside for Bellingham to make the Sancho deal easier? No, I don't agree with these things because the most important thing is Jude Bellingham. That's why this is where these theories fall apart. I know it makes nice sense in people's mind because they go, we're letting them have Bellingham so they'll give us Sancho. Look, how would that ever work? Like, you'd have to have already agreed a price because there's 2 issues with that. One, the main one, what if Jude Bellingham wants to come to United? Or what if he wants to go to Dortmund already? He already knows where he wants to go. So how could it... If Bellingham's told Dortmund he wants to go there, what are United going to say? Oh, we'll let you have Bellingham so we can have Sancho. And Dortmund go, up yours. He wants to come to us anyway. Or Bellingham wants to come to United and United go, yeah, we're letting you to go to Dortmund so we can get Sancho. He'll never play for us again. So it's flawed on that argument as well. And that's the main one. The second argument it's flawed for is, what if that scenario, which could never happen, did happen, and United said to Dortmund, you can have Bellingham if you let us have Sancho. Dortmund go, yes, and United go, but we're only giving you 80 million. Up yours. We're not doing that. So it just doesn't work. It's a hypothetical fantasy walk down fantasy lane, isn't it? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. It's happy birthday, Greg, if everyone wants to say it. Happy birthday, Greg. I should do that myself. Score prediction is 3-0. To Manchester United. I think we will win. I think we have to win. And I think that if we didn't, there would be big problems for United. I think the top 4 race is over. I'll say that now. There's no excuses. We've got to beat Sheffield United. Newcastle did it very, very comfortably, and they're going to be a weaker team than that. We've got to win. There's no excuse. I think all the people who had a moan after the Spurs game, Look, it's down to them if they want to do that. I didn't agree with it. I thought it was a good point in a hard game. After 3 months of no football, you're going to get rustiness. I don't think there's any excuses on Wednesday night because it's imperative that we win the game. So, and I would go as far as to say that if we draw, top four's probably gone. We certainly won't be able to catch Leicester, and we'd need to see Chelsea probably lose 3 games out of their next 8, which is quite a big ask. I mean, at the end of the day, you're asking a team to finish 4th with 13 losses. I don't see that happening. So we've got to win. We've got to win, and we've got to win our next 3 or 4 games. Actually, we've got to win our next 5. Thanks for the super chat, Futo Wayne. James Patrick, Bellingham may have a percentage of a future transfer away from Dortmund. Could be worth millions. I mean, that would be sad, James, wouldn't it? That would be very sad, where players are going to clubs now because they get a percentage of the follow-on sale. I mean, how do you compete with that? Surely a player's got more on their mind than money. How's about playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world in the country that you play in? I think Bellingham should come to United. I'd love to know why he does choose Dortmund if he did, because I'm guaranteeing you there's something sinister there about money or crap negotiations. We probably won't ever know. Adotala Quadri, thanks for the super chat. He says, let's swap positions for Pogba and Bruno. Bruno needs to play deeper. No, let's not. I mean, on what basis do you chuck any evidence for that? Bruno evidently plays better around the edge of the box, and Paul Pogba, you saw it on Friday night. You saw it against Chelsea on the opening day. You saw it against Spurs when we played them away last year. Pogba can be in the centre circle or deeper and put it on the toe of Rashford, and he runs through and scores. Paul Pogba's one of the best deep creative players in the world. Way better than Bruno. And I think Bruno's a better creator in the final third than Pogba. Why would you swap them? And also, Pogba can drive the ball forward and dribble. I would never swap Pogba and Bruno around. I think that would be weakening us, to be honest. If we sign Bellingham, what about Levitt and Garner? Maybe one will be loaned to Birmingham, says Pete Squire. Well, I think all these players need to be loaned next season. Isn't 5th good enough for Champions League, says Frederick Larsson? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We should not, under any circumstances, be talking about 5th getting us in the Champions League. That, to me, is basically, I'll marry you because the love of my life doesn't want to marry me. It's second best. It's that word I don't like. It's sloppy seconds. It's winning by somebody else forfeiting the title. It's not winning. That 5th place spot, I don't want it. It's just luck. Any other year, you're not going to get it. I don't want it. And we're getting it because Man City cheated in other years. It's not because City cheated this year. So I don't want. I mean, I'll take it. I'll be a hypocrite and say I'll take it, of course, but I don't want it because Man City get a ban. I want 4th place because we get top 4. I don't want to be handed out 5th place. That's the sort of thing Arsenal want. I don't want that. I'll take it, but I don't really want it, and I don't think it's something we should be going, 5th place will do anyway. I think 5th place is a failure for United. From the situation we're in now, it's a failure. Why can't we go and win 7 of the next 8 games? They're all winnable games. You could even... Look, the only reason I'm saying 7 out of 8 is because the last game of the season is Leicester, and that'll be a cup final, and who knows. But why can't we win our next 7 league games? They're all winnable. We've got the players. We're good enough to do it. Let's go and do it. Let's not be thinking about 5th place. De Gea is on trial because he made a mistake on Friday. I would argue that Henderson made a worse mistake the other day. De Gea's number 1, says Sean Turner. And Sir Alex Ferguson always said 4th good, 5th bad, says Doubting Tom. I doubt, Doubting Thomas, that Sir Alex Ferguson ever said 4th was good and 5th was bad. Sir Alex Ferguson hated finishing 2nd. And that's a well-known fact. So I don't think 4th was even in his vocabulary, to be honest. And it's certainly not in mine. I can't say that word. Alan Thomas says, hi Mark, besides Sancho, if we could only sign one player this summer, who should it be? I don't think Man United will be spending on multiple signings. If I could sign one player now, considering Werner's gone, and I'm going to assume Bellingham's not going to happen, I would actually try and get Van der Beek. I think looking at United on Friday night, it was very obvious to me that without Bruno and Pogba, we're a bad side. I think we've got good players. I think Wan-Bissaka's great. I think, there's other players that are good. I think Martial and Rashford are fantastic, but Martial and Rashford can't do it without the service. I think if you don't have Pogba and you don't have Bruno for whatever reason, where's the creativity? I don't see it from Fred. I don't see it from McTominay. I don't see it from Matic. Bruno and Pogba are the creators in our team. We need more than two. Pogba might leave, he might get injured again, and then it's all on Bruno, which you can just swamp that one player. So I think United need some creativity, and whether it's Van der Beek or Grealish, I think that's very important to United. I totally understand why we're looking for an attacking midfielder as well as a midfielder. We need more creativity from the middle. 5th place equals Champions League equals Sancho, says Frederick Larson. Yeah, but it might not. It might not. Obviously, I'll take it because I want Champions League football, but I don't think I'd be massively celebrating 5th place. It would be a bonus to get Champions League football, and it'd be a big bonus, but there would be a part of me thinking, we've been very lucky there. We should have got top 4 off our own back. I think if we finish 5th, we'll get our lowest points total we've ever had in Premier League history as well, which is not something to celebrate, is it? But then again, Champions League football it's a difficult one. Alan Thomas, we've done that one. Ewan says, do you think Lingard or Andreas will start any of the remaining games? I think the Norwich game on Saturday in the Cup is a low priority for me. I know it's an FA Cup quarter-final, but that's the game you start Agallo, Brandon Williams, maybe Delow. Midfield, obviously we've got good depth in the midfield. Lingard could start in that game, maybe Pereira as well. Pereira wasn't even on the bench on Friday night, was he? With 9 subs, he's not even on the bench. So it just shows you that Lingard is still considered better than Pereira in Ollie's mind. Ollie is still determined to give Lingard a chance. Nick P, and they are going to be important. They are going to be important. We've got a lot of games, but I'd use them in the cup games. We need to, as I said, we need to win our next 5 Premier League games. So keep your strongest team for the league. The FA Cup, playing on Sheffield United on Wednesday night, you could give a lot of your first team 6 days off until Brighton on the Tuesday. Or you could play a lot of them in the Norwich game, and then they're playing 3 games in 6 days. We've seen, you make a good point actually, because we've seen this a lot with Ollie. He will keep picking his strongest team. He'll keep playing Harry Maguire. He'll keep playing Bruno. He'll keep playing Rashford. And actually, we've got so many games in the next 2 months, including August in the Europa League. Norwich on Saturday should be resting at least half of our team for that game, because it's very important that we're fresh for the Brighton game. And then straight after the Brighton game, you're playing Bournemouth on the Saturday, I think. Nick P, Dortmund are seen as a place where you can make your name and get noticed. I don't know about you, but I don't want us to be a player's stepping stone, says Nick P. Dortmund's playing a league that is, you're never going to win it. You're right. It's just it's a development place, isn't it? That's literally what it is. But I think Bellingham could make a name for himself at Manchester United. Let me just tell you what United's remaining fixtures are, just to highlight how important it is that we do rotate the squad. So we played on Friday. We're going to play on Wednesday against Sheffield United. Then we're going to play on Saturday against Norwich in the Cup. Then on Tuesday we're going to play against Brighton. Then the following Saturday we play Bournemouth. Then we're playing on the Thursday against Villa. Then we're playing on the Monday against Southampton. Then we're playing on the Wednesday against Crystal Palace. Now that's surely going to change. How can we play Monday, Wednesday, Saturday? That's ridiculous. That surely can't happen. But, fixtures are set to change, I know. But basically, you're looking at playing a game every 3 or 4 days. So he's got to use the wider squad in the Cup. I actually don't care about the FA Cup this year. I know that might be controversial to some people, but I actually do not care. The FA Cup won't make Jadon Sancho come. The FA Cup won't give us Champions League football. The FA Cup I respect, but it's a low priority when you've got... it's a ridiculous... Look, we've had a world lockdown. Lots of people have died. It's been a horrible situation for a lot of people. And somehow we've managed to try and finish our season to start the next season close to where it should start. And to do that, you've got to play games every 3 days. It's a ridiculous schedule. It's too many games over too short a period. And for me, this year, the FA Cup's like... And at the end of the day... What are you going to do? Pick your strongest team against Norwich and probably have to play Man City in the final or the semi-final where we might lose anyway. and you're going to put a lot of effort into that. I just think this season, the FA Cup, it's a bonus we don't need to focus on. And if we do win it with the reserves, great. But I'd be keeping the strong players back. Be Fearless says players need match fitness. They do need that match fitness, but they don't need to play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. You can't play your best team 4 times in 10 days? It's too much. He's got to rotate the team, but he can't rotate the team in the Premier League because we've got to win every game. Darn6 says, hi Mark, can you say hi to my girlfriend, Maz? Hi Maz. And remember when our midfield was worse than Arsenal, says Extra E. I don't want to talk about Arsenal. Mark, the FA Cup is on its way to pour gravy in your tap, says Stuart Hall. And when I sign Sancho, will he possibly play? Kelt Helsland says, when I sign Sancho, will he possibly play in the Europa League? We need to sign Bellingham. What about Gio Reyna at Borussia Dortmund? He was brilliant against Leipzig and Werner. Delo, has anyone even seen him play? Who is this Delo? Says Smutty. And Jay says that the FA Cup is way better than the Champions League. I think the connotations of what the Champions League means to Manchester United is more important than the FA Cup. I mean, look, finishing 4th or winning a cup, some people would still say they want the cup, but I think for Manchester United, what we're trying to build now is a team to fight for the title, and if you want to get players to take us to that next level, you do need Champions League football. And also, as fans, we want to see United being tested against the big clubs. We don't want to be back in the Europa League. If it's where we end up, we'll get on with it, but we don't want to be back into it. Mark, will you bring back Memphis Depay? No, Vazdovin. Why are we talking about Memphis Depay? If you could sign any striker, who would it be? Says Harvey Smith. Good question. It would have been Werner. There's no really good answer now. You've got Uzman, Moussa Dembele, Jimenez. There's a few strikers available, but Aubameyang maybe. Aubameyang will surely be looking to leave Arsenal now. I mean, they ain't probably even going to be in the Europa League next year. And Arsenal will probably look to move him on because he's very expensive, actually. We can get 3rd if we win all our games and Leicester don't win all, like maybe draw, says Madassa. I said this, Madassa. I've said we can still catch Leicester. I think Leicester will beat Brighton tomorrow, but even then, I still don't think I'd be going. They're going to get top 4. I think Leicester will drop points if we can put some pressure onto them. At the end of the day, we want to catch Chelsea, who are 5 points ahead of us, but Chelsea are only 4 points beyond Leicester. So if we can catch Chelsea, then we can catch Leicester. Shivam says, Ollie will try to add the cup under his belt. Mark, won't take it easy. Don't think so. No, I don't think he will. I think I've already said that, haven't I? I think Ollie doesn't really rest players, but the time is now. It's time to deliver. It's time for Ollie to deliver, and I think that there is no excuses, as I say. But one thing that people did criticise Ollie about around January time was that we had so many games over Christmas in December and January. We played a ridiculous amount of games, and he hardly rested players. Rashford had a bit of an injury, and he brought him on against Wolves, and it made it worse. And we lost him for 3 months. Harry Maguire was always playing with injuries. Ollie has shown a tendency to not rest players and keep playing with the same team. We can't do that. I mean, he did it with Pogba, didn't he? He played Pogba injured back in October, and we lost him for most of the season. So he's got a big squad. He's got 9 subs. It's Norwich. It's Norwich. They're not that good. Do you think Norwich is going to put a strong side out in the FA Cup? I don't think they are. So why would we do that? I think you've got to play this clever. I think it's like a game of chess. You've got to use your pieces sparingly. Watching City versus Burnley, such a boring match, says Salah Ahmed. This was one game I was never going to watch. Burnley parking the bus against a Man City reserves. I'll watch Man City Chelsea on Thursday because I need them to win, but I'm not bothered tonight. Young Freddie says it's on the medical team as well, to be fair. Yeah, our medical team's not got a great history, but if you know that, which Ollie will do, he also needs to manage his players a little bit better. He's got a massive squad. And trust me, after game 3, teams are going to start picking up a lot of injury. I mean, James Milner yesterday only lasted half an hour, didn't he? He went off with a muscle problem. Arsenal have had 3 injuries. I mean, one of them unlucky on Leno, but they've had 3 injuries in 2 games. People are going to pick up injuries, so we have got to be very careful. Are you going to the FA Cup final? Says Marcus Rashford will be the best left back in the world, left winger in the world. I don't know, mate. I don't even know when the FA Cup final is. Mark, what did you have for lunch? Says John Large. I had a lovely piece of cod. And why don't we buy Bellingham and offer him to go on loan to Dortmund? Says Reese. Well, because he might not want to come to United, by the sounds of it. Mark, it will be Haaland, but not till next summer, says Sean from Ireland. Yeah, but Haaland's not available next summer. He's not available till next summer, is he? He's available the summer after that. That's his release clause in 2 years' time. City are winning 2-0 already. Well, I say already, it's nearly half-time. Comfortable win for them. Arsenal breathe a sigh of relief that they're not going down to 11th. And Lindelof was injured last game, Mark, says Andrew Ellis. Yeah, he did take a little bit of a knock. So this is what I mean. It's a perfect opportunity for Ollie to bring in Eric Bailly, which is what I would do. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. We're moving along very well. Thank you to all our community who are getting involved in the videos that we're doing. We've got Flex and Rants tomorrow as well. Obviously, I'll be live at 10 a.m. as I am every morning with the latest Man United news, and I'll be back live at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I will be doing a watch-along for the Leicester game, but I'll tell you about that tomorrow. Ash G, I think with the heightened awareness around fitness because of Project Restart, Ollie will be more mindful of rotations, as Ash G. And again, yeah, I totally expect that, Ash. I totally expect that. And I've always said about Ollie, he's learning on the job. If he made the same mistakes of overplaying players again and they got injured, at what point are you going to learn? He's got a massive squad. He's got 9 subs. There are, you can play Agallo against Norwich and rest Martial. You could play Dan James against Norwich and rest Rashford. You could play Mata on the right and rest Greenwood. In the midfield 3, you could play McTominay and Fred and rest Matic and Pogba. Back 4, you can easily play Brandon Williams instead of Luke Shaw. You could put Romero in goal instead of De Gea. There's lots of depth that we've got. And then if it's going wrong, you've got 5 subs as well. Imagine we're losing 1-0 to Norwich and everyone plays crap. But on the bench, you've got Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Matic. You can bring them all on. So there's a get out of jail card there as well. Thanks everyone for watching anyway. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the morning. Have a great evening. And big shout out to everyone watching in the live comments and all the moderators. I'll see you soon. And yeah, Manchester United have got to win on Wednesday. And I think we've tactically looked at why and how we do that. Get your comments in below.